Okay, hey Fandom, we are live. Thanks for joining us. With us this week, we've got a special guest for you. We've got John Laub of Football Diehards, as well as the Draft Bible Podcast Network. We're excited to have him. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. We got Sam Darnold to talk about. We got the draft to talk about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Inside the 30, inside the 20, McCaffrey touchdown.
Okay, all right. Awesome. So, guys, we are getting closer to the draft. We got
so crazy.
We got news to talk about with Sam Darnold, and we've got John Laub here to discuss it with us. Guys, I just want to give you a little quick intro here to John. I mean, he's someone that I've known and respected for a while. He does great work with the footballdiehards.com. He does the Draft Bible Podcast Network. He knows his college in and out and his pro in and out. He's a fantasy guy, my kind of guy. So, and he also brings the energy. And one thing you're going to find out about John, he reminds me of Ron Jaworski in a lot of ways. You know how Ron has that passion and that energy and that, boy, this is how it's going to go down. Let me tell you. That's John Laub. So, John, we are happy to have you here, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love this time of the year. You know, like 7 months of work. I really feel by about the 1st of April, I have a good idea of the draft. It takes a long journey to get to know all the players. Obviously, I'm a fantasy football guy first, so I tend to know the skill position players better. But as a fan of NFL football for, 44 years, I need to know all the positions, and so I'm excited. This is the Panthers here. They have the 8th pick in the draft. I'm ready to talk about it, man. It's exciting time of the year. The best. It's the best.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm looking forward to this.
So tell us kind of what you're up to with, the kind of work that you're doing and who you're talking to. I mean, just kind of give us a little bit of a brief glimpse into your life.
Sure. So today I just finished my updated mock draft. So that comes out tomorrow on footballdiehards.com. I still have to edit it one more time before I go to print. So who knows, maybe a player or two changes. But, so now it's basically mock drafts. I'll probably do 3 of them or updates to the drafts on footballdiehards.com. And then it's talking to people like yourselves. I love going on podcasts. I'm probably doing 2 or 3 a week right now just to talk about this upcoming draft. And I think I have 2 events scheduled right now for live during the NFL draft weekend that I can remember. I have at least 2, one on Thursday night and one on Saturday. So I'll be partaking in those also. So it's an exciting time. I just love April. Spring's here. It's great. It's football.
Exactly. No, we appreciate you coming on. And before we get to the draft talk, I want to get your opinion on the Sam Darnold trade, the acquisition there. And before we start talking about that, I have a little video prepared to talk to us a little bit about what went down with his press conference. So here we go.
Coming in as a Carolina Panther, I'm very excited for this opportunity and just to, come in, with a fresh start and, just excited to get going. And then in terms of the weapons, I'm really excited to, play with these guys here. And obviously I have some experience playing with Robbie Anderson. So super excited to continue that relationship and continue to play with him. Very excited about the opportunity to play here and just play with guys like Christian, DJ, David Moore, Dan Arnold, just to name a few. First of all, this organization, just the attention to detail with the culture here is one of a kind, and I think starting with Mr. Tepper, and then Mr. Fitter, and then obviously Coach Rule. It's exciting stuff. I know what the offense is capable of, and just excited to hit the ground running. For just in terms of walking around the building, you can tell. I mean, the agenda's set. It's all about ball here. different things just around the building that remind everyone kind of what the agenda is. And I think that's a really good sign of an organization that is on the same page. And, you know, just getting to know the Charlotte area and getting to know the people around here, I think it's going to be a really good fit for me. Very thrilled and excited to get going. But I'm really, really excited to see it kind of come to fruition in person. I'm here to work, ready to hit the ground running.
All right, so there's our boy Sam Darnold. I think we can say that he's excited.
Yeah.
It's good to see him like that, though. So John, let's maybe we can rewind back to his time in the draft, and he's coming out. He's going to the Jets. He was the second quarterback taken after Baker Mayfield. What's your thoughts? What's your opinion on him and how he fits in with Carolina? And did we lose him? Shoot, I think we lost him. Great. All right, guys. So, Brittany, what's your take on Sam Darnold? I know you were really moved with that press conference.
You know, and I'm gonna, just for those who don't follow me on Twitter, I kind of gave a little, and you had liked one of the tweets. I kind of gave my final thoughts after watching the presser, and one of the things that I really loved and that tugged at my heartstrings was when he talked about how, you know, when he was drafted, he came in with that fresh kind of belief that he was going to be with this organization for 20 plus years with the Jets. And then he goes through the situation where he feels really unwanted. He knows they want to trade him, and then feeling wanted by us. You know, I think we can all out there relate to a moment where life doesn't really go as we planned. You know, when one door opens and another one closes, you know. One of the things, my brother, who being a Jets fan, huge Sam Darnold fan, he like legit was like having a moment in his work truck when he found out they were getting traded. But he told me the day we traded for them, he said, "You're getting a real one." And the kid, you could just tell just by the presser, he has such a likable personality. And you could tell right off the bat, he has what you want him to succeed. And yeah. I mean, one notable Panther that stands out in my mind, and I'm not saying that they're totally in any of the same category right now, but Greg Olsen did not start off with the Carolina Panthers. He was traded by the Bears to Carolina. And he began his journey with them, and then he thrived with us. And he ultimately came back and retired with us, because going back, that was where he was wanted. And I think Carolina has a really great, you know, one of the things I love about being a fan is we have a really great culture. Our fans, we can be a little critical when, you know, they ain't bringing their A game, but we will defend our team. We will defend our coaches. It's a great organization to be a part of, and the culture is very good. Guys who leave usually will come back. So I would love nothing more than the kid to be with us for 20 plus years. It would be nice to get behind a quarterback, knowing he's going to be our quarterback. I mean, let's face it, we haven't really had much consistency these last 2 years in that position. I think when you look at teams like the Browns, it took them a while to get that consistency because they kept trying to switch it up, and they didn't let things gel. There was no consistency. Some key factors to take away from the presser, I feel like he's ready to put the pass behind him. He's ready to get to work. I mean, you saw the way David Newton was like coming at him with these questions. I felt like he handled David Newton very, very well. He had every opportunity to trash talk the Jets, and he simply didn't, which is a testament to his character. My final thoughts, he is a likable dude with a lot of potential that is totally untapped because I don't feel like he's had the right coaches and the right culture around him for the first 3 years of his career. So I think he's going to do just fine here.
Great. And John, looks like we got you back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes my StreamYard goes chaotic, but it came back, so I'm here.
It's all good.
And I'm going to go back a little bit, and people like to write the narrative of a player's career before it is over. I'm going to remind everyone, our viewers out there, of 3 quarterbacks who had looked like failures. Steve Young, watch him at Tampa Bay, folks.
That's true.
It was pathetic. It was bad because the organization around him was god-awful at that time when Steve Young was there. Goes to San Francisco, sits behind Joe Montana. You can talk about the debate between the two of them, and they didn't get along well, but Steve Young ends up being MVP and Super Bowl champion. Chris Chandler, if you remember him, he ended up with the Colts. And when he was at the Colts, they were in the most pathetic organizations in the NFL. He ended up with Dan Reeves in Atlanta. He had the Jamal Anderson at running back, the Dirty Birds, and they got to a Super Bowl behind Chris Chandler. So there are players who just need a new opportunity. And latest, we've seen it, Ryan Tannehill going from the Miami Dolphins, a first-round pick. He signed behind Marcus Mariota and maybe even start the first 6 games for the Titans that year. And they just could not handle Mariota. I don't know what the coaching staff saw, but they finally pulled the trigger on Mariota. And what we've seen is an explosion, a complete turnaround of a NFL career of Ryan Tannehill. Ironically, Sam Darnold had the same terrible coach in Adam Gase that Ryan Tannehill said.
I was going to say, the Gase
this
factor.
narrative is not written on Sam Darnold. Jeff introduced this by what did I think of him? Darnold was my second-rated quarterback coming out of USC. He had everything that you look for. Size, arm strength. He's an anticipatory thrower. He can throw on the run. He can avoid the pass rush. Ladies and gentlemen, he's 23 years of age. I believe he's 2 years younger than Joe Burrow. So essentially, instead of playing his junior and senior year of college, this young man is playing the Patriots and the Broncos and the NFL. And then let me reiterate, he had Adam Gase, and I need to say it one more time. He had Adam Gase. That is the worst offensive coach in the NFL. He is running Frank Gore up the middle, and he couldn't get 5 yards if the hole was open. That offense was so pathetic. You can't even describe it. And here's the best story. And I know if you're not a Jet fan, you probably don't know this. And there's no reason to know this story. If you remember, Joe Flacco started a game for the Jets on a Thursday night. And it was the biggest output of the year offensively for the New York Jets. And Brashard Perryman had a great game. So one of the report, and I read this in the local newspaper, either the Post or the Daily News. After the game, the reporter goes, Joe, how did you do it? How did you put 30 points up? Adam Gase and Darnold were averaging 10 points a game. Gase gave Flacco the ability to audible at the line of scrimmage. He would not let Sam Darnold audible. So if you had 7 men in the box, 8 men in the box, and the call was for Frank Gore up the gut, Sam Darnold had to call Frank Gore up the gut and looking at 2nd and 9. He had no choice. Well, Flacco isn't great, but man, the guy won a Super Bowl. He knows when you have 8 men in the box, you audible to a deep pass down the field. It's not rocket science, folks. It is not rocket science here. And Joe Flacco had a great night. Adam Gase was so bad for Sam Darnold. So incredibly bad. And I know the numbers aren't pretty. I've heard them all. People love to pile on this young kid. He's 23 years of age, folks.
Still so
23. Young. He still has a higher quarterback Touchdown interceptions, 45-39. Yes, he's thrown too many. But let me repeat, Adam Gase was his coach.
Yeah.
Position. It is incredibly important to have a coach and a quarterback on the same page. And it was obvious very early, at least this year, that Gase and Darnold were oil and water. That it turned out to be a brutal, brutal mix. And I have a dream. The first time Sam Darnold completes a screen pass to Christian McCaffrey and he goes 40 yards for a touchdown, he's going to have a mini stroke on the field because he never saw a running back gain 40 yards on the New York Jets. And if you don't think that that affects your total quarterback rating, you're not watching football.
Bingo.
They had 0 playmakers. That offense, look in the first 4 weeks, they basically had junior varsity XFL wide receivers and a rookie wide receiver in Denzel Mims. It was a comedy act what the Jets were throwing out at wide receiver. I rest my case.
John, man, we love you. You're like better than Ron Jaworski.
And knowing all of that, because I didn't know that what you told me about.
No one knows that story. It's only
that story.
Who cares about the Jets? They were like,
right.
12.
Now that I know that, I'm thinking in my head, why didn't Sam talk shit about the Jets? Like, man, that's a credit to him.
You want to know something? I'll tell you this. Sam Darnold is a good young man.
He is.
And he has not said much. But there's no way behind closed doors he isn't frustrated at what happened in New York. But you know what? I give the young man credit. He doesn't talk about it. But it was a disaster.
David Newton tried. I mean, we Panthers fans know David Newton is like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hey, so John, let's talk about the draft. We're all excited about Darnold, and we've talked about him a lot already. And we're there's not much more we can really say because we haven't seen anything yet, and he's just starting out. Let's talk about the draft. How do you think this draft is going to unfold? And we can start with the first couple picks if you want. I mean, does the draft start at 2, at 4? Where do you think the draft begins?
5.
4
quarterbacks going off the board. There's no question in my mind. And value at the offensive tackle and defense is going to fall down the board incredibly. We are letting stud offensive linemen and defensive players are dramatically falling down this draft. And I get it. We have 5 exception and debate. We can debate how those 5 go. But we have 5 quarterbacks who I have a first-round grade on. So I don't question the first-round grade at all. They all deserve to go there. We can jumble them up in different ways. What I believe, if you study next year's quarterback class, it's not very good, folks.
No.
Now, there might be a Joe Burrow. There could be a Mac Jones who come out of nowhere, and that happens sometimes. But right now, I'm telling you, there's only really, in my book, one solid stud quarterback who you can call a franchise right now. So if you're desperate for the quarterback position, you better get your guy now because next year's not a great draft. And I think that's forcing teams to look around and say, oh, wait a second. There might only be Sam Howell next year. If I don't finish in last place, I'm not getting him.
Do you think Atlanta is going quarterback, or do you think they're going to trade out and whoever takes their spot will go quarterback?
So I've read there's a debate in the front office. Owner wants to trade. Wants to get the franchise quarterback. The head coach says, no, give me Ryan. I can win with him. Mm-hmm. I don't know who's going to win, but this is what I do know. The value is to trade that pick. The Falcons are a bad football team with a lot of needs.
Yeah.
You can get a boatload right now for that pick, and I think I have to do it because I could survive with Matt Ryan for at least 2 years. He's a competent NFL quarterback.
So you're a Broncos fan. Are the Broncos possibly a trade partner with Atlanta?
I'll give you insight. In my mock draft tomorrow, I have the Broncos and the Falcons trading for Justin Fields. And I had a big debate. Is it going to be Washington? Is it going to be Denver? Or is it going to be New England? Who has the firepower to trade up with the Atlanta Falcons? And the one thing it doesn't make any sense for Belichick to trade up. Now, he's never done it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't predict Bill Belichick trading up. It would go against everything he's done. And then Washington, I said, do they have enough firepower to go all the way from 20 to 4 without giving up everything? They'd have to give up so much. I don't think they do it. And here's the thing. Denver has a ready-made offense. They invested in the offensive line last year. They have Cortland Sutton. They have Jerry Jeudy. They have Noah Fant. They have Melvin Gordon. You can get another running back in the second or third round. I think they're the team. And the only thing they're missing from an offensive standpoint is a quarterback. And my son and I talk about this a lot. If you're playing Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert for the next 5 years, at least, I don't know if it's 10 or 20, but for at least the next 5 years, you better get someone who can throw the football back there or you are in big trouble. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for Denver to go for the gusto. And the new GM, go for it, man. Go for it. You know, all or nothing. Don't just keep getting first-round picks. You got to get this quarterback solved, man.
So let's talk about the Panthers' possibilities at 8.
Yeah.
I don't think they're moving up. I think they're staying put. It's possible if 4 quarterbacks go in the first 4 picks, it's possible that a Kyle Pitts, a Jamar Chase, perhaps even Penei Sewell, and Rashawn Slater seems like he would most likely be there at 8.
Yeah.
Where's Carolina going to go? What would you do if you were Carolina with those options?
So I think Carolina is very astute here to solve the quarterback dilemma. They don't have to deal with this. Mm-hmm. And how I looked at the board, I think it would be malfeasance for Cincinnati and Miami not to protect their franchise quarterbacks with offensive linemen. I'm old. I build from the inside out. Offensive line, and give me defensive ends who can cut the quarterback down. I will build that way to the end of time. You got Burrow, you got Tua, and we are talking about 2 offensive tackles in Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, who are great. You can't pass up. When you invested in your franchise quarterback, how the heck can you let him get beat up? The only reason I tell you that is value falls deeply to the Panthers. Well, so then I had Jamar Chase going to the Lions because they're just so Jared Goff's got to throw to someone. Jesus Christ. And they got Hawkinson. Right? So it wouldn't be, why would you double invest in the tight end? You're not going to win with Jared Goff and 2 tight ends in Detroit. That's just a disaster. That leaves Kyle Pitts in my mock draft. And man, if you could have Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, and Kyle Pitts, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Darnold's thrown 28 touchdowns blindfolded. Please. You're running Robbie Anderson to take the safety every play. You got DJ Moore can beat anyone one-on-one. You got McCaffrey just slipping out of the backfield. And you got the monster Kyle Pitts attacking safeties. See you later, everyone.
I love it. I love your energy narrative for that. It's
Joey, let's put you in the conversation here. What's your take, man? Who do you want for Carolina? That is, and then we'll talk about your Dallas pick. We'll give you your minute.
I think Pitts is the viable choice, but also with the needs and in corner, I think also you got to look at Surtain also on that one.
Well, keep in mind though, they got AJ Bouye and they got Rashawn Melvin, and they already have Dante Jackson. Thank you. I wanted to say Pettis. That's absolutely not right.
So tell me, out of all those you just named, which one's good on man-to-man?
Neither.
Exactly.
Not really. Yeah,
AJ.
they do. They need a man-to-man. They need a guy
Yeah.
who can play man coverage. They need someone who can do press. I agree with you. I do. But I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. That's
Now,
that's
the
why.
best available athlete is going to be Pitts. Do
Yeah.
you take him? Are you going to do what the Cowboys did with Randy Moss and just bypass him? You can't do that.
You can't do that.
That's
And
why.
I think I was right. Didn't they invest 7 picks on defense last year
Yeah.
without one?
Right.
And so it seems like, and their defense played better last year. And that safety, Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy Chin.
Man.
Jeremy Chin's great. So I think you invest in the offensive side this year a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how it's looking. So the real question is, how is this draft going to unfold so that Carolina can make their pick at 8 and who's available? So let's
I'm
just
going to
say
go on a limb and tell you they're going to trade out.
You think? I mean, they could.
Commodities are too high.
If a team wants to get up ahead of Denver to get a quarterback, and Denver,
And I think
Denver
Belichick
stays
wouldn't
still,
mind trading then if all these quarterbacks start falling apart and he really wants one.
Hey,
Yeah.
in my opinion, the best one for Carolina, the best fit is Slater. If he's there, Carolina should take him. That's my call. If they
If
trade
any of
back,
those 2 linemen are there, you take them.
yeah.
I can't see how Miami and Cincinnati bypasses those 2 linemen.
Well,
because
it's Miami.
wants
You gotta say it's
Miami
Miami.
wants for Chase.
Miami might take Chase to give Tua a weapon. They don't got many weapons in Miami. Parker.
They want
You never
pitch for
know.
Chase.
You never know. Miami might get Najee Harris to go in.
No, they can get him. They have like the 18th pick,
They do. They have the 18th pick.
so they could get him then.
No, they'll go backwards though.
Yeah. So, John, let's just say it's down to Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater. This is a
debate.
battle of thoughts that people have in Carolina right now, just like Chase versus Sewell with Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
So who's the better offensive lineman, and who's the better offensive lineman for Carolina's needs?
This might shock some people. I have Rashad Slater as number 1 at offensive tackle, and I think he fits the Panthers because he's mean and nasty.
I like being a nasty.
Slater's got a little mean streak to him. I mean, if you guys want to watch some good highlights, watch Slater versus Chase Young.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Slater gave that boy fits. And we just saw Chase Young ate up the NFL. And Slater, that was a nasty battle on the edge between – and I like Penei Sewell a ton. And if the Bengals took him, I wouldn't fault him. But I like the little nastiness in my offensive tackle. I like to have at least one offensive lineman who's nasty because I think it creates an environment on the offensive line which you're a little bit more aggressive. So I think Slater might have that dominant type of personality. So I would think Slater would be better. And look, we just saw Sam Darnold interview there. He's kind of a laid-back kid. He might need a year or two to get that leadership. You might need some guys in that huddle who are a little bit nasty, a little bit more fired up early in his career. He's only 23.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree there. And, I mean, it's amazing when you watch these people in press conferences, especially the rookies, not necessarily Sam Darnold, but he's still young. But
yeah,
it's amazing how well they actually kind of carry themselves, considering they're 20, 21 years old.
Oh, man, if I was on TV at 21, I would train wreck, man. Forget about it.
I hear you. Hey, so all right, so let's just say Carolina possibly trades down.
Oh, yeah.
Who are some targets that they could – number one, who are some teams that they could potentially trade with, and who are some targets that they could get in the middle of the first?
I think the big two obviously would be New England and Washington. The challenge is I don't see New England doing it. I mean, we've watched Bill Belichick for 30 years. I don't remember him trading up.
No.
He prefers to trade down. But that is a good spot to trade with. Now, Washington, but do the Panthers want to go that far? Because if you don't get the 2 tackles, I like Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. He's very good. And Teven Jenkins, the young man out of Oklahoma State. So those two players should be there around picks 12 to 18. You might even get Jenkins down at 20 where Washington is, but you'd be taking a risk, right? Because the Raiders need some offensive linemen. The Chargers need some offensive linemen. I like those, but I do have Darisaw and Jenkins are a different tier than Sewell and Slater.
What do you think about Parsons?
The Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
I love him, but I think he needs to be on turf. He's not, the other thing I don't like, he's not a 3-down defensive end. I'm a little old school. I like my defensive end to be as nasty against the run and give me some pass rush ability. I think Micah Parsons is an edge rusher. And if you put him in on first down against your 325-pound offensive lineman with 5 years in the league, I think Micah Parsons could be in big trouble until he learns technique and until he grows. Remember, he didn't play last year either. I think Micah Parsons on the right team, put him on turf, put him where he's – I almost think his rookie year, you just rush the pass rusher, young man. We don't care about nothing else. Young man, second and long, third and long, rush, get the quarterback. But almost nothing else. He can be special. But I am a little bit old school. I like my defensive tackles and ends to anchor in the run game.
So defensive tackle. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
At like 15, is he justifiable if he falls that far?
Yes, because I do think you could use him as the Panthers in pass rushing only situations. Yes, but I think you have to understand what you're getting. You're not getting the 3-down defensive end like Chase Young or Jason Pierre-Paul. You're getting, for now at least, his first year, maybe second year, a pass rushing undersized defensive end. Gotcha. But can he chase quarterbacks and running backs? Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
So let's actually talk about defensive tackle because this is an area that they have an interest in. Do you have any guys that might be particularly possible in pick 39, their second-round pick?
Oh, there's a bunch. I don't think there's a good first-round defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I tend to like the space eaters. So I think if you go in the second round, if Elijah Vera – that's offensive lineman. Sorry about that. Levi Owazuki, I'm going to get him wrong, the young man out of Washington. Christian Barrymore out of Alabama. Tommy Togai out of Ohio State. But I think they're all second-round players. I like Levi, the young man from Washington, but I just noticed this about, 8 days ago, a week ago. He's only 290 pounds, which is a little light for a defensive end. I like my defensive – again, I'm old school. I like the 310 or more. I really want a clogger in the middle. I'm not sure if Levi is that. He might be your kind of like pass rush specialist, or a single one-gap defensive tackle. I don't know if he's a two-gap run-stuffing defensive tackle. So I don't really like the defensive tackles. I think they're all second-round grades. So you might get someone there. So
let's also talk cornerback because this is an area of need. Yeah, like I said, they already filled some spots with Bouye and with Melvin. But they could still potentially grab a cornerback, especially in the second or third round. And it seems like, I've seen corner rankings all over the place.
They are in
this class. So what's your corner rankings and who would kind of be there also, not just 1, 2, 3, right? But who's there 4, 5, 6, 7? It goes pretty deep this class. So I'm kind of curious what your take is there. And who would be better, like for coverage? Coverage and for more on the man side and press, or more in the zone scheme.
So the first question. Mm-hmm. I think Patrick Surtain is the conservative NFL player. Mm-hmm. You know what you're getting. Right. I'm not sure if he's going to be an all-pro for years, but he's going to play in the league. He's going to defend the run. He's going to be able to lock down your opponents. He can play press coverage. So and he's played against the absolute best in the SEC. So he's up for the challenge. So I tend to think J.C. Horn is like the home run guy. I think J.C. Horn could be unbelievable. but I think he's got a floor. Like he, I think that floor with Surtain is a little bit higher because of the Alabama pedigree and what you've seen from him. Caleb Farley is now the X factor. You got this injury thing, right?
Yeah.
He was like consensus number 1 3 months ago, and I keep seeing him fall in mock drafts. I'm almost not surprised if he goes in the second round now, because we know a couple guys are going to fall, right? And you mentioned it's a deep class. Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. And this is fascinating. Northwestern might have 2 first-round picks in this draft, which if you've watched Northwestern, they've actually improved. They just can't get the quarterback right, and they haven't gotten the running game. But they do have talent at Northwestern. And then Eric Stokes, Asante Samuel. I think NFL teams are going to like Samuel a lot more than the normal. Obviously, his dad played. He ended up at Florida State, which has just been the whole program's in disarray. So he hasn't been there at the right time. I think, I now tend to like the corners over 6 feet. I think with so many big receivers, I'd like my corners to be 6 feet, a little over, 195 pounds. Samuel's 5'10", 184, but I think he can lock down people. But, in today's game, when so many offenses are using 3 and 4 receiver formations, I'm not as big of a man-on-man coverage guy as I was in the 90s with Deion Sanders, when you could, and even Champ Bailey and Darrelle Revis. I more want quick cornerbacks who can play zone or press, and they've got to tackle. They have got to tackle, because if you miss the tackle on these, if you've seen it with DJ Moore, if that guy doesn't bring him down, DJ Moore's gone. You got, because this yak yards and these wide receivers are so dangerous. I've got to get a wide receiver or a defensive back who can tackle.
Well, you know what? There's going to be a lot. And the question is, will there be some that are remaining when that second round, that pick 39 comes up? Because you've got teams who are, we just finished the first round, we go to the next night, there's all that talk before the next day, right? So they're like, you've got teams lobbying for running backs, you've got teams lobbying for wide receiver, you got Philadelphia perhaps wanting to move up depending on who they take with their pick. Rashad Bateman standing there, Terrence Marshall might be standing there. So there's going to be some back and forth talk for sure in between those nights. And my question is, will corner be available for Carolina? Or, how many do you think are first round picks? Are we talking like 5?
I have 4 of them.
Okay.
With the first round, but 5 could be drafted.
Man, that's going to be, oh, are you there? We lost you there, John.
Oh, no. He did say his camera freezes.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. That's okay.
He'll be back.
So, hey, this is actually a good time for us to highlight our draft night special.
Wait, that was right.
Whoops, is he coming back? It's funny because he's just like waiting in time. I guess he's coming.
Sorry about that.
There we go. All right, we got him back.
Sorry about that. So if teams are going 3 and 4 receiver sets, paradoxically, the defense has to get 5 or 6 corners who can cover, right? So what is that doing? Also pushing cornerbacks up the board. So if you told me 6 corners go in the first round, I wouldn't be shocked. I would probably be surprised. But I'll say this. I was thinking about the Panthers in the second round. They do have a distinct advantage here. If they want to go defense in the second round, the teams above them look like they need offense.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff alluded to this. Those teams are going to go for the running backs. They might go for the tight end Freiermuth. They might go in those. There's going to be like 3 receivers. You're like, oh my God.
We lost him again. Boy, that sucks.
That's a great frame to be broken.
It takes a while to get the airwaves from Connecticut there, John, I guess.
I don't know. It's something with, I've been teaching virtually for so long at home, and then I do this. I think my camera's just like, I can't handle this anymore.
Oh man, that's awesome. So all right, let's just say, for example, let's go back to Kyle Pitts, because I don't think we talked about him enough. If the Panthers somehow manage to get Kyle Pitts, what in the world does that do for their offense? I mean, is he going to be? Because they need their tight end to do some blocking. How good is he at blocking, or is he like just a tight end that you just forget about blocking and he's a receiver? Is he Evan Ingram?
I really wouldn't want.
Better than Evan Ingram at blocking. He's better than Ingram, but you're not bringing in Pitts to block.
No, well, right.
If you're doing that, you're doing something wrong. But here's what I think. Joe Brady is no longer with the team in 2022.
Yeah.
If they bring in Kyle Pitts. Because, look, I'm a believer in Brady and Matt Rule. I saw Matt Rule at Temple because I'm in Connecticut. I'm a big UConn football fan. I'm a big American Athletic Conference. Then I was shocked. He went down to Baylor, and he turned that Baylor program. What was he, 12-1 when he left Baylor? And last year with Teddy Bridgewater, I thought that Matt Rule lifted those Panthers farther than I expected. I was very impressed. But he also was smart enough to bring in Joe Brady. And Joe Brady got as much as you can get, I believe, out of Teddy Bridgewater without Christian McCaffrey. If you actually think how well they did without their MVP, if not the league MVP, if Joe Brady can get McCaffrey healthy and plug Pitts into that offense, my friends, man, I mean, Pitts could play the Justin Jefferson, Thaddeus Moss role that they had at LSU. You can flex out. You can put him in. He's a nightmare, folks. And that's what he was doing with Justin Jefferson and Thaddeus Moss at LSU. This is going to present real problems. And I believe that Joe Brady can solve that. Yes. Do you hurt your line? Obviously, if you get Penei Sewell or Rashad Slater. But you also have a mobile quarterback. Sam Darnold's more athletic than Teddy Bridgewater. Sam Darnold can avoid. He's been running for his life for 3 years. If he gets half a second time in Carolina, he's going to be like a weekend vacation in Europe. I mean, he's going to think this is the greatest thing in the whole world.
Oh, man. All right. So, Brittany, are you still hell-bent on offensive tackle at 8? What's your take? Joey, same question.
Listen, I'm all about if we can get Pitts, I would like Pitts. Personally.
Okay.
I like how Johnny mentioned that he's nasty. I like a nasty player. I like a guy who is a total, pardon my French, jerk off on the field. I want to see, I want to intimidate and terrorize the NFC South. And whoever can help us do that, that's what I want to see. I love your puppy.
That's my dog, Mora. She just came in.
Oh, hi, Mora.
Yeah, I think if you get Pitts, it's a great addition. For
Right.
the second round, I would probably look at like a Dylan Redunds and
Right,
in the second
redundant.
round.
I was just about to say that.
The North Dakota State kid, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great
he's
run
good.
blocker.
He's good. I think, can he play at the NFL right away? I think that's why he'll be available in the second round.
Yep. Well,
Joey?
he's great at run blocking. That's when you stick Christian right behind him and say, go.
There you
Joey,
go.
what do you think, man? Who do you want?
I've been doing this since when we started doing the podcast. I always said the line. My thing is, I come from the Dallas Cowboy pedigree. That line has to be built to run that ball. You need to protect that MVP that you have, which is McCaffrey, and your new quarterback. You got new weapons. You need to protect them.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I would rather have the 10-year offensive tackle. They need a left tackle. They've got Taylor Moton on the right. Gosh, if they get him and or like one of the two, and they have Taylor Moton, And one of the offensive guard, there's Trey Smith, and I also like Wyatt Davis, offensive guard, perhaps in the second round. Your take on those guys there, John? I know they mostly have played right guard in school and some center for Davis, but your take on those two guys as potential interior offensive linemen.
One question before I'll answer your question. Have a second. Would you put Christian Darrisaw? Would you push him at the board at 8 if Sewell and AC? You can't, right? You got to get Slater or Sewell, right?
You would trade out because whoever is available is going to be a hot commodity. Someone's going to want to trade out.
Then I agree. If Slater or Sewell are there, take them.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't push those other tackles and bypass Fitz. So
No, of course.
we're basically on the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Sorry, that's my take. Is that if one of the two is there, you go that way.
Okay, I agree. If one of the two tackles are there, I'm all for it. I like Landon Dickerson out of Alabama. I know there might be some injury concerns. I think he's the young man who got hurt in the playoff games or something like that. But it looks like he should back. Wyatt Davis. I'm all right with Ohio State players. They tend to be versatile. They tend to play, 310 pounds for an interior guard. I mean, that's a man who can move some defenders there. Creed Humphrey of Oklahoma is a very interesting player also. So that's why if you get Pitts, there's going to be value either at cornerback or offensive line in the second round.
Yeah.
There will be one of those two available to you.
Well, I tell you what, John, when it comes to draft night, we're going to be here. We're going to be here live. We've got a star-studded cast of people who are going to join us. And hopefully, if you're available, we'd love to have you on. Love to have you on talking to us.
All right. If on Friday, no, it's Thursday night. If they're around, I'll email you or DM you, I should say, right? I always forget. In the old days, I had to make a phone call. Now it's all these other ways. But there's so many ways to talk to people. Just the phone.
Awesome. We'd love to have you. And also, too, Panthers fans, if you're out there, we'll give you the link. You can join us, and we'll bring people on. So we're definitely looking forward to that. You'll hear more about that, too, coming up from our Twitter page, that we're having a draft night special here. So we'll be live, and we'll be going over the picks as they happen and, kind of breaking that down as we head towards Carolina's pick at 8. And then after that happens, we're going to talk about it. We're going to say, hey, this is what we've got. This is what we now have in on the team as far as our depth chart. Where do we go from here? So there will be lots of talk. Right. We look forward to meeting you guys.
Yeah, let's take a question right here before we because I'm reading the comment. What if the Panthers traded for Zach Ertz? That's a pretty good one. I like that.
If they traded for Ertz.
If you could give up a third or fourth round pick, if the Eagles would do it. But then
that came from Joey.
No, that came from Chauncey Ellerby. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but Zach Ertz and Darnold were teammates, weren't they? Not in the
no, because Zach Ertz went to Stanford. Darnold was USC.
There was talk about Ertz going to the Jets before they traded Darnold.
Sorry if I butchered your name, Joey.
Before they there was talks of that, so why not pick it up in Carolina? There's a tight end who can do it all.
Yeah, that's possible. But then again, they already have Dan Arnold. They made that move.
I want that T-shirt. Sam to Dan.
Sam to Dan or Darnold to Arnold.
Sam to Dan. I like that.
Yeah, there's opportunity there. I think. I would
Darnold to Dan Arnold. Say
Darnold
that
to Arnold
5 times fast.
I'll work on that picture or on that T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, I want it. I want it too.
No, but so what was I going to say? Just the fact that on draft night we want you guys here. We'll share the link. You guys can come on, and we'll have people on individually, 2 at a time, whatever. But we're just looking forward to meeting you. And guys, if you're watching the show, if you enjoy it and you want to help us and support our channel, ourselves here, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We appreciate the comments. So thank you so much for that. John, before we let you go here, Tell us a little bit more about where people can find you, what you're doing. I know you're with Football Diehards. I love Bob Harris. Bob is a great friend of Football Guys, which I'm a part of. See my Football Guys? We're over here.
I do.
My Football Guys
on the wrong side there, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I'm looking at the camera. It's weird. I got to work on that. But yeah, we love Bob Harris. He's a big friend. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing. I know you're also doing the podcast too, which is awesome work. We love that. So yeah, promote yourself here. Where can people see you? Because we've already got some great comments saying that you've done a great job and some fun analysis here. So, and we appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I had a blast. I love talking football, obviously. But my mock draft comes out tomorrow. We kind of hinted at it already, but it comes up on footballdiehards.com. Usually it's up by noon Eastern time. It depends on their publishing schedule, but it should be up by noon Eastern time. Right now, I have all my fantasy football for the skill position profiles. They are all up on footballdiehards.com. And if you want to see our videos, my teammate, Matt Hicks, and myself, we have 45 fantasy football previews of all the rookies on rookiebigboard.com. Or actually, it's the Rookie Big Board on youtube.com. So if you go to YouTube and type in Rookie Big Board, you can see 45 of our player profiles. And for those of you who want, we got Kyle Pitts up there. You can check out Kyle Pitts and what we think about him. We like him a lot.
Gotcha. That's awesome. We'll make sure to get that promoted there for you. So good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, John, man, we loved having you on here.
Thank you so much.
The energy, the passion. This is why I wanted to bring you on here. I told the guys, I'm like, you guys are going to have fun with this guy. He's so energetic. And I told you, he reminds me of Ron Jaworski.
Thank you. That's very kind. Very good. Seriously.
So, yeah, we look forward to seeing you on draft night. Hopefully you can join us for like 10 or 15 minutes and we can go over the pick. And we look forward to meeting everybody, especially our Panthers fans, our fandom on draft night. So final closing thoughts, Brittany.
I mean, I thought this was great. You put me on the spot. I was dying. But yeah, I mean, I think I like Pitts. I like, but there's a few players, like I said, that I wouldn't be disappointed. I think Carolina is gonna.
You should invest in the infrastructure,
right,
and not kill Darnold since he just got here.
Yeah, we do not want to be the gosh darn Jets.
Invest in the infrastructure.
No, we don't want that.
Take them.
My take is either Penei Sewell or Slater or bust. That's my pick there. And it would be really tough for me to take Kyle Pitts over one of those two. Honestly, it would. I would build that line like Joey. I know that's what you want to do too. I would build that line, and we didn't really see a whole lot from tight end with Joe Brady in the offense last year.
I do like Slater better out of the two. Though.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we had Matt Batanti on last week, offensive line analyst for Football Guys, and he was going over all of the offensive line players and why they're good, and he was awesome too. So we appreciate him.
Did he like Slater? Did he like Slater over Sewell?
He likes Slater over Sewell because he thinks he's more pro-ready.
Yeah.
He thinks that he is and he also mentioned, though, it's not that he didn't like Sewell. He said that Sewell could be the best tackle in the league in 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And so I tend to go and agree with that. And he also mentioned, of course, his NFL bloodlines and his Isaac Sapawanga? What? I forget how you say his name, but that was his uncle or something.
Yes.
So anyhow, yeah, in my opinion, it's Sewell or Slater or bust. And let's hope we go. And now I would double up on offensive line in the second round unless you've got that guy, Levi, the guy from Washington, his last name, that Olawokala was his name.
I'm not
really
good
at that name.
I know, man. It's horrible.
Either. Levi.
We went Levi.
It's a good player, but give Arnold a chance too. Dan Arnold.
Yeah, no, right. I agree. Arnold has some slippery, sneaky upside there, and we'll kind of see what happens. But
Throw the 50-50 ball. That's what you need. That's what you need.
I'm a firm believer they trade out if they don't get any of the tackles. I think they trade down a little bit, even going down 15 or
But to who is the question?
I would initiate the call to the Patriots, see if they're interested. If those two tackles are gone.
We'll have a lot to talk about, John, if that's the case, won't we?
Yes.
We're looking forward to the draft. We appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to talking to you on draft night. So thank you again so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you for having me on, my friends.
You got it.
Thank you for calling.
Christian McCaffrey in the open field. Inside the 30. Inside the 20. McCaffrey.